This is a Kirkendall Barrett presentation, darling.
Dad is dead. There is a dog.
You bought strawberries. Who do you think you are?
You buy homemade bread?
What are you, QAnon?
What makes him happy?
Not being in this movie?
Not being in this movie.
A lifetime of Hallmark.
Well, hello, everybody. It is your favorite day of the week. It is time for another episode of A Lifetime of Hallmark, where we talk about movies on both Lifetime and the Hallmark Channel and try to make sense of them. I am Les Kirkendall Barrett. Hello, Jason Bowers.
Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett.
And hello, Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett, and hello, Jason Bowers.
And I am going to go out and just make a broad statement right now.
Okay.
I think the movie that we watched today, I think I think this has been my favorite movie of the entire time of doing this podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a big swing for Hallmark.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to unpack with this movie, and they definitely they took some huge strides here. I would say it was my favorite movie, but yeah.
I absolutely give them credit for going out of their comfort zone, very actively going out of their comfort zone with this movie.
And I kind of think this is the way, because you know how like all these different people are jumping ship to go to that new network?
Mm-hmm. I
kind of think this is their way of saying, bye, bitches, bye.
Yeah, it was just, we're recording this on Tuesday, April 19th, and it was announced today that Candace Cameron Bure is going to GAC with a movie deal, and she's going to be an executive at the network in some capacity.
Oh, wow.
So we know how that's going to go.
Well, it's executive in name only. It's sort of like when every big music superstar used to have a record deal where they could sign their own acts to their own label. They call it a vanity deal.
Yeah.
But she and that brother of hers are Bible banging. Nothing wrong with the Bible, but
Yeah.
They're that.
Kirk is much loonier than Candace, though.
Yeah. Oh, because remember that movie he had about the rapture?
Oh, is that her brother? Who are we talking about?
Kirk Cameron.
Yeah. This is the woman who's in Full House, right? And
Yeah,
and her brother's Kirk Cameron. Oh, yeah. That didn't say anything bad. I know we have all kinds of fans out there, so. Well,
and in fairness, she did a lot of good Hallmark movies. She did one of my favorite movies that we've ever watched, which was Shoe Addict's Christmas.
Oh, I agree.
Oh, yeah.
I agree. And I'm
With
sure
Christian
the people...
Brune.
Yeah. And I'm sure the people who... And this is like, it's not a knock on religion at all. But I'm sure that people who happen to be religious, who listen to this podcast, are not the same kind of religious that Kirk Cameron is. You can be religious and not.
Well, I think there's extreme levels of any way of viewing the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Remember that weird movie Kirk Cameron was in? It was called Listen to Me, and he was like him and Jamie Gertz are on a debate team. And their teacher is Roy Scheider, and Kirk Cameron has this accent that keeps changing through the movie. He's got like some kind of Southern accent, then he's back to being a California accent. And it wasn't very good.
Jamie Gertz.
Oh yeah, that billionaire. Yeah, I got thoughts for her.
Yeah,
for
her.
Like Jamie Gertz is the type of actress it's only if she feels she could only work, only if she feels like it.
2 words, Jamie Gertz, second husband. Right here. Here I added 2 more words.
Kurt Fitzpatrick.
No, I don't want to discourage their marriage. Let's not do that.
But yeah, this movie, like I like this movie, and we'll get into it just because it wasn't contrived. Everything that happened organically, pretty much.
Well, except that last 30 seconds where the guy burst through the door like, "Hello, Frisco." The guy, man, he's like the Kool-Aid man, smashing through the door. I was like, whoa! I was about ready to turn off my computer. I thought the movie was over, and all of a sudden, like this flamboyant character.
It was like the end of Carrie.
Did I miss something at the end of the movie?
Did you miss the movie?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, you must have turned off the movie. Like it's like the last 30 seconds, this guy like crashes through the wall like he's that big orange Warner Brothers character that.
Is this a character? Is this a character that had been in the movie before that point?
No, it's like this guy just shows up. He's like, "I'm sorry, I'm late for the movie."
Because I was watching it on demand. Like I hadn't recorded, but it was on demand, and it sort of ended as the credits started. And I thought, oh, sometimes the on demand just cuts it off because it's recording it from the actual broadcast. So I just assumed that happened, but I didn't see anything in the last 30 seconds.
This guy, he was the editor. Like it's like everything kind of happens, everything's settled, and like they're closing the door, and all of a sudden like someone pushed it. Hello, I'm here. And it's the guy, and he's the book editor.
And there's a reason for him to show up.
Yeah, there is. It's like they had to pack so much of this movie. Even the last like 10 seconds, they packed this guy in.
This movie was stuffed. It was a little overstuffed in terms of like what they were trying to do.
Oh yeah. That it was. Yeah. But
there's some groundbreaking stuff, and at least 3 things that are pretty groundbreaking in this.
But what I like about the movie, without revealing yet, is the things that they had going on. The movie just happened to be about that. It wasn't like, this is a movie where this is, and like if you would have watched the commercial, you would have never known any of that was happening.
Yeah.
And so I kind of like that.
Wow.
I will say, of all the Hallmark movies we've ever seen, this is the one that had the richest backstory and texture to characters I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I actually thought some of the speeches kind of like you're usually kind of corny, but they were actually kind of sweet.
Yeah,
in this movie,
So my prediction for Hallmark is there's going to be more movies like this.
They up their game.
The Wedding Veil movies was kind of like the introducing us to the 3 new current reigning Hallmark divas. That was basically passing the baton to them. So, Queen Lacey, Sammy, and Autumn, they're being handed the baton. And I think that's kind of what's going on.
Oh, yeah. They're absolutely saying, okay, this is what we're investing in moving forward.
And then I told you guys that, and I think if it hasn't started, it started soon. They're having, because you know how they have like Hallmark movies and mysteries. They're having another channel, Hallmark Mahogany, where it's all going to be African American based movies, and it's going to be an African American brand.
I don't believe that's a channel. So the Hallmark card brand already makes Mahogany cards, which are cards targeted at an African American audience. So they're using that brand as a way of launching movies under that banner.
Okay. So it's obvious though that they're actively like transitioning.
Yes.
Which, so, there'll be GAC for, Make America Great Again, and then Hallmark is...
I actually think we're giving GAC too much time on this show. And the reason I say that is that if this channel had come out 10 years ago, I would say, okay, they're spending all this money to bring all this talent over. That makes business sense. They're trying to capture Hallmark's audience. GAC isn't on nearly the number of cable providers that Hallmark is. Hallmark is pretty much widely available. Any cable provider carries them. GAC is on like a third. And if you look at their ratings, they don't even make a dent in what Hallmark is doing.
Oh, I haven't even looked.
Yeah.
Would we consider covering a GAC movie, or should we be loyal to Hallmark?
I would say if it becomes enough of a thing, we could certainly do it. I just don't personally think that it's even a blip on the radar.
Right.
Yeah. We could wait.
It's
And
sort of
you
like,
know,
you
wait and
remember
see,
like
wait
when the
and see.
TV now, it used to be like ABC, CBS, and NBC, and then there was this tiny little network called Fox. Like, this is year one of Fox Network competing against the big boys.
And you know me, I'm a sucker for twins switching identities, makeover movies, Prince movies, you know.
Yeah.
Under the Cherry Moon. I said that before on the show. The Prince movie, Under the Cherry Moon. Saturday Times. I had to tell a family. I told a family friend about this podcast, and she said, "Did you see those Veiled movies?" I'm like, "Yeah, everyone." I was humiliated. So embarrassed. She's like, "You're real romantic, aren't you?" I was like, "It's for a podcast."
Oh, look at you, Kurt.
It's a friend of the family. She's known me. I've known her since I was a baby.
But still, like, maybe you want to get that out there, though, that you do watch Hallmark movies and that you're a romantic, and maybe, you know.
I got to work some angle.
Well, speaking of angle, you got any Blac Chyna news?
Doing a piece of China.
China.
I'm talking China.
Blac Chyna report. Here's Kurt Fitzpatrick.
All right, here's from the Daily News, so it's got to be real. Blac Chyna's mom, Toni, banned from Kardashian trial after slamming that family on Instagram. She laid her cards on the table. Blac Chyna's mother, Toni, slammed them in an Instagram live video shortly after sitting across from them in court on Monday. In real life, they look scary. Toni, whose legal name is Shalana Hunter, or Shalana, said in the video, "It's just so sad. Toni was in court with her daughter on Monday, but was noticeably absent Tuesday after the video. The Kardashians' lawyer asked the judge to bar Toni from the courtroom, and the judge agreed, according to TMZ. Chyna, 33, is suing Kris, Kim, and Khloe Kardashian, along with Kylie Jenner, for defamation. She says the Kardashian crew, and they spell crew with a K, conspired to cancel her show with ex-boyfriend Rob Kardashian on E! Network, Rob and Chyna, after they broke up. Kris, Kim, Khloe, and Kylie all showed up for jury selection Monday, so they got to listen to prospective jurors roast their famous family. One man even made a comment about Kim's infamous sex tape with Ray J. "I don't think they were the best role models," a woman said. "I would let my daughter watch anything involving them." Toni was not so polite in her Instagram video. Khloe was shaking her head at everything every juror said. "Are you all right?" Toni rhetorically asked. "Did you have some Xanax or something before you got there?" Despite many potential jurors' feelings about the Kardashian family, a full jury. By the way, I could probably be on this jury because I never watched their stupid show. Anyway, a full jury was but then I get Blac Chyna. A full jury was selected on Tuesday, TMZ reported. Chyna, whose legal name is Angela White, first filed the lawsuit back in 2017. The Kardashians tried without success to either have the suit thrown out or to settle it. Kourtney Kardashian and Kendall Jenner were initially named in Chyna's complaint, but were removed during the legal process. And that's it.
So I don't know if you remember, I told you a few weeks ago that I had jury duty coming up, and I had joked about, wouldn't it be funny if I were in the jury pool for this particular trial? So I ended up having my jury service last week. I had to postpone it back when my mom had passed away. And when I was downtown Los Angeles for jury duty last week, the case that I was going to be on, they had a very, very large pool of people, to the point where there were people that like work for the courthouse are like, oh, those are pretty high numbers. That's they're looking through a lot of people, and it was taking several hours. I ended up getting released from that, but there was also a bunch of camera crews that were staked out outside the courthouse. So I don't know if I was in that pool, but I do know that the case that I potentially was going to be on, they were asking questions of, are we triggered by anything involving domestic violence?
Oh,
it probably was.
So, like, how weird would that have been?
Like
I just wanted to be in the jury selection process where the judge asks if you are familiar with the case or if you have opinions. And I'd be like, I literally do a podcast where we do Blac Chyna news every week.
So, yeah, you'd totally get out of that.
And then
but that'd be fun too. And they don't, and they would all be there because they all have to sit there during jury selection.
I don't think they have to. I think their lawyers do. But I don't think they have to.
Well, they just said that article. They just said that they did.
No,
well,
you can. I think you can. I think you can, but I don't think that the families have to sit there for that.
Because I've gone to jury duty, but I've never even made it that far.
I did once. No, I did it. I did twice actually. I did like when I was like 22, I did it, and I actually had to go in. Then maybe like 10, 15 years ago, I did it again. I haven't had it in a long time. Knock on wood.
The funny thing is, though, when I lived in West Hollywood, I got jury summonses all the time. But now I don't, knock on wood.
No, I got it in Brooklyn. I had to be there for like a couple days, and then they told us all to go home because there was going to be an event where we were all had to wait. Like, okay, everybody, jury duty's over. We have a prom coming in or something. It's like fine with me.
But I am ready though to hear about Chyna's outfits, like the outfit rundowns.
I think that we'll hear those once once they get into the actual trial.
I want her to wear pantsuits and buns and like faux glasses.
Buns?
Like hair buns.
Okay.
Yeah, bun, like a Princess Leia, but one of them.
Because I think that she's got to try to like be a little understated, or her version of understated.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to be respectful to the court.
Yes. So the girls have to be kind of covered up.
Yeah.
But
we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll definitely be covering it. Any piece of news that comes across the news desk, we'll be covering.
Yes. I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to what you have to report, Kurt. And I'm curious to hear how that metal pole is going to morph and what it's going to morph into.
Oh yeah.
They'll probably bring it into the courtroom as evidence.
Right.
Find it.
Actually, they might. Yeah. They probably will.
Could you imagine? And then, they're like, wait a minute, is that all? They made it sound like it was like a 7 foot tall, that it was going to have to be brought in on like a truck or something.
Well, maybe it does.
And a tractor's going to have to bring it in. Well, shall we start the movie?
Yeah, we have a lot to unpack here with Love Classified.
So
Hallmark.
I knew that this was going to be a good movie because it started out in New York and it started out with a voiceover.
Well, also let's talk about the cast a little bit because the star of the movie was Melora Hardin. So if you don't know who that is, probably best known recently as Jan from The Office, but known in the 80s, she was cast in Back to the Future as Marty's girlfriend. What's her name? Jennifer? She was cast in the movie and was then subsequently fired after Eric Stoltz was fired because she was like basically too tall against Michael J. Fox. So they had to cast a different actress.
Wow.
Everybody's tall against Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
But wait a minute. So this is the woman who played this is the older woman in the movie then.
The mother. Yeah.
And she was I did hear that story, but I didn't know who the actress was who got.
But then on The Office, Michael Scott, she was like the regional manager or something. She was like above Michael, and then they ended up having an affair, and then they were living together for a while.
Oh, I didn't see that.
And then also in this movie is an actor named Max Lloyd Jones who played Zach in the movie. And Max, I used to be a coworker with Max.
Really?
Yeah. He the tour company I managed back when I first started there, he was a tour guide there. And then I ended up like becoming his boss for like half a second. But yeah, he worked there for a little while.
He's cute.
Yeah, he's very
cute. Was he that cute then?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's cool. Wow.
He's very cute. I hope that I hope that he's like now in the Hallmark man rotation.
Maybe. I mean, he got billing, which I think is a promising sign. Like when they were saying who's in the movie, they said his name in the promo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Well, he
is Canadian, so he'll get work from Hallmark.
And he was good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he actually was really good in the movie.
Yeah, actually, I gotta say the acting in this movie for the most part was pretty good.
It was legitimately good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that Frankie woman was freaking adorable.
Yeah.
And Taylor was really attractive too, but she was more traditionally attractive.
Kurt. I'm gonna be interested to get, as a straight man, I'm gonna be interested to get your opinions about this.
Yes, I will be providing that commentary. But I'm just saying that Taylor was really hot, but traditionally hot. But this Frankie was a very, very interesting and hot, interesting looking. Yeah. So how about that for a unique take on the situation? There'll be more of that as we get into it.
Right. So we see New York. We have a voiceover. The voiceover.
That's not always a good sign because that happens in those Sex and the City things, and that's not.
How dare you? How dare you, Kirk Fitzpatrick? And by the way, and just like that, did not have a voiceover.
Oh,
doesn't she host a podcast?
Who?
Jennifer. Sarah Jessica Parker. Yeah. Her character hosts a podcast, and they didn't use that as an opportunity to do the voiceover that the original show was known for.
No, they did not.
That seems like a bad stylistic choice.
Les loves it.
There was no.
I don't bother. Yeah, Les puts on Facebook and just like that. You're like, I love it, just like that. If you don't like it, come at me. So and I'm like, nah.
What I said
like an army
is, what I said is, I said I liked and just like that. Fight me.
Fight me, yeah. I'm not getting in the fight.
And then I said, and just like that has been renewed. Fight me. I'm ready to fight for SJP.
Yeah, the thing is I haven't seen the show, so I really can't. It's not really fair for me to dislike it.
You'd hate it. You'd hate it.
I should give it a shot.
I'm like the one gay that didn't like the original show, so I knew I was going to hate the follow-up, because the follow-up looked even worse.
Kurt, I'm going to be a friend and just tell you not to waste your time. You'd hate it.
I did enjoy the original show sometimes. I thought Samantha was really funny.
Yeah, but she's not in this.
But Samantha's not there.
No. I thought she was pretty funny.
Samantha. There's a new Samantha character though. Seema.
You never know. I just thought when they got to the movies, they were taking it too far. Anyway, here we are. I'm locked in. I got my seatbelt on.
All right, so there's voiceover.
Yeah.
Bowling. You see people bowling, and I even wrote, "This is a good opening." And then
they were cutting between all of these characters and all these couples, and at first I thought that this is just like a story in one of her books because the main character is a writer. But it was really setting up the movie. But I was like, they're introducing a lot of people in this movie.
And then
I was like, I hope they slow down.
And then she said something that I actually was like, oh my God, I believe this too. When she was talking about love, and then she was talking about how people were too focused on finding a soulmate, and that was the problem.
Yeah.
Is that and I was like, oh my God, she's made perfect sense.
Oh yeah, I was going to try to remember that. That seemed like good advice. Yeah, that was when she said, there's like people go on these dating apps and they're trying to look for people who have the exact same interests. Yeah. Instead, you open yourself up, and then you could find someone who complements you.
I just thought it was a big thing for the main character of this movie to say, considering that has kind of been the premise of every Hallmark movie up until this point.
Yeah.
To find someone who has the exact same interests,
or just every Hallmark movie they're pushing someone to find their soulmate.
Well, and not only find your soulmate, and then give up your life for that person. Yeah. Give up your goals. Give up your goals and dreams for your soulmate. So I was like,
we're right.
Look at you, Hallmark.
This is progressive right out of the gate. And then and then we get to that plant shop, and someone says they start talking about the digital Classified.
Yes.
And they talk about somebody wrote and they said they want to see pics of feet. So there's a foot fetish thing. It was probably Quentin Tarantino. But someone was writing stuff about that, like they wanted to have, they were requesting pictures of feet.
I missed that joke. That actually is pretty progressive for Hallmark to put that joke in there.
Yeah.
And then we see one of our protagonists, Taylor, and she's working in a flower shop and she's talking to her assistant. And the
Hannah,
assistant
right?
is like, yeah. And she's multitasking, which is funny because it's like, total. And they mentioned, oh, well, this is a Gen Z thing because she's like totally like working while texting and getting everything done properly. And then I like this because then we see like a shoplifter and then they come up with this way to like shame shoplifters, which I thought was cool too.
Yeah, I guess you could do that. I guess that's legal.
Yeah,
she was like basically doing like not an email blast, some kind of social media blast saying this is the shoplifter.
I did feel like there's this app that everyone in the movie is using and is sort of central to the plot of the movie called Classify. And it essentially just seemed like a nicer version of the Nextdoor app.
Right.
Do you know what Nextdoor is, Kurt? Do they have that on the East Coast?
I'm on. Yeah. I'm on that.
As you know, like stuff other just devolve. It goes from like somebody stole my packages to like all of a sudden it just devolves into like horrible racist fights.
Oh, I don't see racist fights. I don't look at it too much. I have to like log. I don't have it on. I don't have the app. I have to like log on and see it.
And then there's the flower store. Then we jump over to the bookstore, and the bookstore is called Between Two Covers, and
that's cute.
And the Zach, who's at the bookstore, is looking to make. Well, Zach and Margot, his coworker, are looking for ways to like make changes at the bookstore.
Well, Zach doesn't work at the bookstore. Zach is there, like he's trying to do a mural for the wall there.
Oh, that's right. You're right. And so Margot is the manager of the bookstore, and she's talking to Zach, and she's saying how the owner has like a very rigid way that he wants to do things. And so Zach is going to do the mural, but Margot can't guarantee that the owner is going to like it because he just has like a specific way he wants things done.
And Margot went on a rant about, hey, just because I'm single and trying to do these activities like joining a bowling league doesn't mean that I'm like out looking for a relationship. Why just because I'm single does that have to mean I'm looking for a relationship?
Right, which not only did I agree with that, I like the fact that Margot is single, and instead of complaining about it, she's looking for hobbies and things to do to get herself out there.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Because normally these movies are like the woman's kind of whining about being. She's either bitter or just throws herself into work, or she's whining about being single. And Margot's like, well, hey, I'm a woman with a job and management position, and guess what? I want to go out and like put myself out there and have a good time too.
Yeah.
Good for her. I like that.
So then
she wants balance.
Margot is really cute too. I liked her.
I liked her hair. I liked her hair color. I want my daughter to dye her hair that color. It's like a purple.
Yeah.
So then we see some people in a bowling alley, a guy and a girl. And
a bowling alley?
No, it's at a bar. It's just like a beer bar.
At first they were in the bowling alley. First they were in the bowling alley, and then they were in the bar.
Yeah. Then in the bar. Things just keep. We just. So much is happening. Because
the way that they set it up at the bowling alley, which I thought was kind of clever and tricky, was at first in the beginning they showed them bowling, and while she was bowling, he was texting, and so they made it look like he was texting behind her back, but actually he was gay and she was a lesbian, and they were best friends.
Yeah.
Well, first they make it look like it's an interracial couple, but that's not really shocking. Then he's gay. And that's not shocking. That's in a Hallmark movie. But then a man and woman are friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a shocking thing.
And I also noticed as they were talking behind, because it wasn't super clear that so her name is Francesca or Frankie, and her friend, his name is Max, and they're talking, and then behind them are extras. I'm like, oh my God, they even have lesbian extras behind them.
I missed that.
New Hallmark, yeah.
They're like, we're going all in. We are going all in.
Yeah. I'm for it.
And so then we go to our star, the person who was giving the voiceover, Amelia. And so she was talking, and we find out that her editor actually kind of wanted her to get with the times and incorporate social media into her books.
Yeah, she's talking to the bartender at the hotel bar, who, by the way, did you recognize him? He was in...
I think I did.
He was in that really terrible Hallmark movie set in Hawaii that we watched a few months ago.
Oh God. Okay.
He was the lead in that, but this he just had like a small part.
And so, you know, she's talking about how she's talking to the bartender, and like, you know, the conversations about how everything's superficial, how people are starving for companionship. And then we cut to the flower shop, and the woman Taylor is like going to close the flower shop down early. And then we find out her brother blew her off for dinner. Right.
Yeah. And then Taylor wants to go home and have takeout and watch her stories.
Right.
And she's like, or maybe I'll have a life. Well, that's a life. That sounds nice to me. Sounds relaxing.
And then we cut back to the bar, and
things start getting really sublime. Well, no, she's on this app. So this woman, what's her name? Amelia Bloom.
Yeah.
She's on this app. She's just kind of like, what was she doing? She wanted access to people's lives. She said she was just kind of like on this app, like fishing, and she starts talking to a guy, and she wants this, and then she's waiting for the guy to show up, and then her son shows up. He's a motherfucker. He's showing up to go on a date with his mother. Now, that's something I expect to see in a Hallmark film. That's really going out there. What's the next thing? Isn't there a movie they're going to have with people with Down syndrome? Like because that's the next step. They can't go any further.
But I think that's great, though, that they're saying, you know what, we are good. Everybody deserves love. That's what they're saying.
I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing. There's no boundaries. They're going out into the solar system.
But I loved it when the son showed up, because the bartender had the
bartender figured it out before they did.
Yeah,
what was going on?
We all did. I don't know how she didn't figure it out.
And the bartender's like, oh shit.
I actually, this movie did a really good job as they were, because they did weave in a lot of characters in this movie. I think the movie did a good job of slowly peeling back the onion and making you think one thing, and then it's revealed to be another. You know, because we think that, oh, she's going to go on a date, and this cute young guy shows up who you've seen earlier in the movie, but you don't realize, oh, it's her son.
Right. And so then of course he's like horrified.
And you don't realize until like a few beats in that, like, oh, the little brother that blew off Taylor for dinner is this same guy.
Right.
This poor guy. I hope that's never happened to anybody. The poor guy's like kind of insecure. Like he's really shy about asking on a girl, and he shows up to the bar, and it's his mom. It's like, God.
His mom, who hasn't seen in a few years, by the way.
Right, 5 years. Yeah. 5 years.
Because why? Because her husband's dead.
I see dead people.
So meanwhile, his sister Taylor decides that she's going to answer one of these classified things as well. Mm-hmm. And so then she goes to a coffee house to meet her date, and she was meeting her date, Frankie. And so she was looking for a guy named Frankie, but Frankie wasn't a guy. Frankie was a girl.
first she approached the guy. She's like, "Are you Frankie?"
Yeah.
And then when he said
that
no,
may have
she
happened to
kept
me once.
asking him more questions.
Yeah, she was like, she should have said, "Can I sit down anyway?"
Yeah.
But I like the fact that, you know, she shows up, she and Frankie end up meeting up, and at the time, she wasn't identifying as a lesbian, but at the same time, she was actually open to go out with a woman.
So here's my question. So I think she would be considered pansexual.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
I think it was just the I think it was just the fact though that when this happened though, it wasn't even like on her radar. And I also like that even though it wasn't on her radar, they didn't make a big deal about it either.
I wish they would have made a teensier bit bigger deal about it than they did. I felt like it was way too convenient that she was totally okay with it. Was never freaked out by the, I've never been into women, but I guess I'm going to go on a date with one and maybe go on several dates with one. That, like, you know, her big freak out later in the movie is just like, I don't know that I'm ready for anyone.
Well, anyway, Jason, but that's actually a generational thing because, like, kids like...
I see what you're saying, and I definitely think that I feel like younger generation, they are much more open, and it's a different world. I totally get that, but I feel like they're still growing up in a world, for better or for worse, that, you know, the quote unquote normal thing is to be in a heteronormative relationship, and to not even for a split second say like, I don't know that I want this. Or maybe I do. Like, she doesn't even really question it.
But then you did mention she did have a little freak out later.
But not about her sexuality.
Well, for me, a different world is that show with Wayne with the flipped up sunglasses. Yes. But she did freak. She was a little bit, when she was a little reluctant to tell her mother about it. So there was a little bit of caginess about that.
But again, that wasn't, I don't think that was the same sex of it all. I think that was the, tell my mom anything because we haven't spoken in 5 years and she doesn't deserve to know any details about my life.
Yeah. But she also, it was like kind of she was a little bit reluctant, like, to tell her Hannah, her employee, and then she was a little reluctant to tell her brother, like, I'm saying, actually, it's a she, you know. So I thought, like I said, if it's a pansexual situation, that's the way it read to me. Basically, I made sure to look up the real definition of pansexual, so I know what I'm talking about. Yes. But it's like she was open to pans. I have it right here.
My daughter.
I know I lost it.
So
okay. Well, anyway, it's basically we should know what it is. A pansexual is not limited in sexual choice with regard to biological sex, gender, or gender identity.
It's the
person, or you know, I don't know. Yeah, that's where she seemed to be at, which I admire that.
So then we cut back to Amelia. She goes to the bookstore. She meets Margot. Her and Margot like hit it off. Then we find out that since she's been away for so long, a lot of stuff has changed because she's looking for this jewelry store, but Margot informed her that, you know, that jewelry store hadn't been around in a few years. And then I was like, oh, are they gonna do this? Because Amelia asks, all out of the blue, asks Margot for a glass of water so that she could take her vitamins. And I was like, oh my God, is she dying? Is this going to be a movie about a dying woman?
Oh, see, my mind didn't even go there. My mind went to, oh my God, are they tackling opioid addiction in this movie?
Oh my God, it'd be too much.
Oh,
that'd
come
be amazing.
On. Drugs have got to at least wait until 2023. They can't give us everything at once.
Yeah. I thought she might die, though. I thought if this was a real movie, that's probably what would happen. But I thought a Hallmark movie, they're not going to go that far.
No.
But still, I was like, whoa, because we don't. we normally in Hallmark movies, we either see the person is dead but we don't see the person, or the person is already far gone in their illness.
Yeah.
But we don't see someone who, like, their illness is like, oh, this is kind of ambiguous and it could be fatal for all we know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the deaths are normally like her husband / the kid's father in this movie that we never really find out how he died, but we know he died 5 years ago, and
Right.
Amelia kind of got freaked out by it and just left town.
Right.
She hightailed it.
But I like that too, because she was just like their stakes, stakes. They really raised the stakes,
and they let one of their main characters do what arguably is the wrong thing to do in the situation. Like they let that be a character trait that actually defines who she can become.
And, and part of it too, I think that what added insult to injury is she ran away and then I think became really famous. Like she was probably, I wasn't sure if she was famous before she left, but she became really famous.
She was, because they had a really nice house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty nice.
She was really famous.
Yeah.
And so then we find out, or did we found out that Frankie is a doctor. And
well, also we find out that Margot's boss knows Amelia from back in the day, Brian.
Yes, but Brian is still not liking the mural,
right?
And so then, so then we go back to the flower shop where she's talking about how she met, Frankie, and the assistant is like, well, you need to get out more because you work too much. And like, you're letting your work like consume your life. You're not having a life. You need to get out and get one. Mm-hmm. So while we're at the flower shop, Amelia stops by and Taylor is pissed. And she yells at Amelia. And then it was soon after this that we find out that Amelia has heart issues.
But Taylor doesn't know that yet.
No,
but we know.
Yeah.
So then
Margot's kind of stalking Amelia.
Well,
yeah.
She's
Amelia steps outside, and Margot's just like hanging out there.
Right.
But Margot's like a book nerd, so she's like a super fan of Amelia, and the fact that Amelia, who Margot doesn't know, is Zach's mom, and Margot doesn't know that her boss knew Amelia, so Margot's just a fan of Amelia's writing.
Right. So then this is like, another progressive Hallmark conversation, because then Frankie's talking to her friend. I forget, what was her friend's name?
Max.
Gay guy, Matt? Max.
I think Max, yeah.
So then Max and Frankie are talking, and then Frankie's like, well, I like her, but I'm not sure if she's into women. And then Max is saying, well, be careful. You don't want to go after someone who you don't know is whether or not she's into women, which I was like, we would have never had this conversation on Hallmark like 3 years ago.
No. Interesting.
And
it's like that movie, Kissing Jessica Stein. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The woman gets in a relationship with a woman, but then she finds out she's not actually gay.
So then we cut back to the flower shop where Taylor is telling Hannah, her worker, that she's dating a woman, which Hannah was supportive about. And then we see Amelia, and Amelia goes into the doctor's office for a doctor's appointment. And her doctor walks in, and it's Frankie, who's dating who's interested in her daughter. So I was like, wow, okay, this is like getting convoluted, but not bad.
I thought Dr. Frankie was a good doctor, and I haven't really witnessed this kind of tough love, because she's like, listen, asshole, you have a heart problem. You got to stop drinking. You told me you were going to have support around you. Your family aren't here. I thought she was going to get up and slap her across the face, and it would have been justified.
And so that's why we find out this is the real reason why Amelia came back to town.
Yeah.
Because, she's ill and she needs to be around her family. And I was like, oh my God, this is even bad. Like, this is really good.
Yeah, but she's not doing a great job. But yeah.
We saw at this point, we see a movie. So after all this, heavy for Hallmark stuff is happening, and after they're showing way more depth than they've ever shown in a movie before, then they show a trailer for, and I didn't get the name of the movie, but some movie that's going to be on Hallmark in the next couple of weeks. What is the name of the movie, Kurt?
Oh, is it the one about the guy that needs to lose weight?
Yes.
Warming Up to You. I saw that too.
The premise of that,
Warming Up to You.
Yeah, the premise of that movie is this guy that's like a movie star, and he had let himself go, and he's got to get back in shape for next movie. So he's on some retreat with this female trainer, and basically it's this very traditionally boringly handsome Hallmark guy, but they put a fat belly on him, so he looks perfectly chiseled except for his belly, and they show the belly and he's doing sit-ups, and it looks absurd.
Hallmark is they're like baby steps. Yeah. Jason, baby steps.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. One step forward, 2 steps back.
It's basically the chaser for this movie. For anyone that they drink this one down and it goes down too hard. This baby, or the belly fat movie is the chaser to make it go down smooth.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. That was ridiculous. that commercial was played 3 times during this thing.
And I sort of didn't pay attention the first time. The second time, I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Because they show him sitting down, and it literally was just a belly. That was it.
Yeah.
Like when on soap operas where the woman is glamorous and she's pregnant, and they just put a little belly on her.
Mm-hmm.
But, she's got this flawless body other than the little belly with the baby in it. Oh, so then we see Zach, and he's having lunch with Amelia, and they're catching up, and he's telling Amelia how actually, he's feeling kind of stifled art-wise. And then we find out that the dad actually sounded like he was kind of a cool guy. And I guess this is where we kind of, Amelia was having drinks before, but this is where we realize that Amelia, I guess, was this hard partying woman, because the bartender first, she ordered the Shirley Temple from the bar, and the bartender's like, wait, what? And then she's having lunch with the son, and the son is like, wait, what? You're drinking tea? You never drink tea. So we get the idea that she's this hard partying woman.
And they kind of laid that out earlier when she's sitting at the bar with the guy from the Hawaii movie. She was on her second or third martini, and martinis are strong.
A gin martini at that.
Yeah.
She likes it. She's a wild woman.
And so then the owner of the bookstore shows up, and Amelia is really happy, and we find out that they had a past as well. And
Now we also see that Frankie visits Taylor at the flower shop, and she lets her know because, Taylor thought that Frankie had ghosted her, but she didn't ghost her. She had to go to the hospital to deal with Taylor's mother. She didn't know it was her mother, but that's why. And then she asked her out on a real date that they're going to go walk somewhere. Hike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hallmark is big on the hiking lately. Have you noticed that?
Yes. They all of a sudden.
Oh, it's healthy.
Oh, so then we cut back to Brian, who was the owner of the bookstore, and we find out that Brian, I guess they had been friends in high school. They knew each other in high school. No, they dated or came close to dating in high school.
They never dated, and then she got asked out by the guy that ended up becoming her husband.
Right. and they hadn't seen each other since high school.
We also find out that Brian is D-word.
Divorced.
Yes, they actually said it.
Yes. He chose the bookstore over saving his marriage, he said.
Yeah, because he was an accountant and then went through a career change and bought the bookstore. And he said he was going through a midlife crisis. And so then even Brian, I guess she was a hard drinker in high school.
Yeah.
Because Brian's like, what are you drinking? And she's like, a Shirley Temple. And Brian's like, wait, what? You?
And then like he knew immediately, it's like, oh, is it a health thing? Basically like, yeah, you're not stopping on your own.
And so then we cut back to Frankie and Taylor, and Taylor's kind of like, I don't know this is new for me, so I'm not sure. I don't know. And then Frankie's being pretty patient, and then they did the ultimate. This is not your old-fashioned Hallmark. They just started kissing.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the 1 hour point. That's exactly 1 hour.
Halfway over.
Like that would have been stunning even if this were a straight couple. Yeah. For a Hallmark movie. Like they don't normally like let a kiss happen unless it's really truly been earned, and this is not the point in a Hallmark movie where that kiss is normally earned.
And I think that, like, now with Hallmark movies, I'm kind of like Pavlov's dogs, because they started kissing, and I immediately looked to see, like, how much longer we had in the movie.
Same.
Yeah, and it was exact midpoint.
And it was a pretty big kiss, too. It wasn't like a little peck. It was a kiss.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a kiss.
I should give the heterosexual perspective on this.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, please do.
Oh, okay. It was hot. That's all I got. No, I don't know what to tell you. It is kind of hot, but I liked the I like those ladies. I don't really know why it's hot, but it just kind of is.
As a gay man, when there's two attractive men making out, I find that hot too. I think that's normal, and I think any straight people watching, if it's an attractive couple, they find it hot.
Yeah. So then we cut to dinner. Amelia's having dinner with Brian, and she's telling him, she's catching him up on things, and she tells him that, yes, she was gone for 5 years, but she didn't intentionally set out to be gone for 5 years. And
they kind of keep, I wouldn't say tiptoeing, but they can't kind of keep sort of dancing towards this idea of she left because she was grieving her husband, right. And she was in such pain that she knew she wasn't going to be any good to help her kids get through this. So she just got out of there because she was basically too scared to deal with anything.
Right. But then she, during this conversation, decides that she's going to kind of make up for things. And so Zach her son was living in the family home. And so she decides, guess what? I'm moving back into the house too.
Her kids were adults also when she left. I'm old. They were.
Yeah.
They were. In fact, they say that in the movie at one point.
But I get it because she left and they hadn't seen her in 5 years.
And if we're to guess their ages, let's say on the high end, because Taylor's the older one. Let's say on the high end, she's 32. Yeah. So that means that mom left when she was 27 and Zach was probably like 25.
Yeah, but I think that their problem wasn't that she left. Their problem was that she left and like never made an effort to see them.
Yeah. In fact, Amelia missed the grand opening of Taylor's store, the flower shop.
Yeah. She's a little like Olivia Colman in The Lost Daughter, although she just like leaves her husband or little kids. So she's not really like her. And then they ask her, "How did you feel when you left your little kids and your husband?" She's like, "I felt wonderful." I don't know. I had to get that out of my head.
Oh, so then
now I'm free.
So now that Amelia moves to the house, she fesses up to her son. I had a heart attack. Which, have we ever seen this on a Hallmark movie?
Certainly not. I don't know that we've. had a character that has a heart attack in a regular Hallmark movie, and certainly not one that's like had a heart attack and kept it from their family.
Right. And not a woman. I don't think we've ever had a woman have a heart attack. And, you know, I think maybe...
Well, no, she kept it. Well, no, she kept it from them. She had them as her emergency contacts. Maybe that was a new development.
But then weren't they... I could see her, though, having the heart attack, but it being minor enough for her to be like, no, don't call them. I'm in the hospital. I made it.
Well, no, she didn't have the heart attack there in that town. She had the heart attack and then decided I'm going to go back there and do recovery there. So I'm going to find a doctor. Oh, okay. And that she reached out and actually met with Frankie before she let anyone know she was back in town.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And that's why she was basically being optimistic, like, hey, I'm going to reconnect with my kids. They should be the main contacts because they live here.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So then we find
complicated life.
Then we find out more about the dad. The dad actually sounds like a cool guy. And so
Andy.
And so then I guess the brother and sister had like a weekly, like a family dinner thing.
Yeah.
So the sister was coming home for family dinner, and she walks in and sees Amelia there and finds out Amelia's staying there, and then she gets pissed.
Yeah.
And so then they go. Who goes bowling?
Well,
Taylor and Zach.
It's kind of weird.
Taylor and Zach.
Well, it's weird because the mother cooked for them, and then they just leave the mother behind. Of course, what comes around goes around, and they just go bowling and leave her with her food that she cooked.
Well, I think he did that because he was like talking her down, and she was so upset that he was like, "Let's just go."
Actually, he had every right to do that. You know, I mean, seriously, is the mother really going to complain? You left me, Mom.
Yeah, I think there's probably a beat that we just don't see where he calls her and says, "Hey, I'm talking her off the ledge. We're not going to be here for dinner, but let me just cool her down, and hopefully I can bring you two together."
So
that would work.
So they go to the bowling alley, and then Margot's at the bowling alley, and and the bowling alley actually looks fun. Looked like a really good time. And so they run into Margot, and Zach is like getting a little flustered. And so then when Margot leaves, Taylor's like, "Ooh, she likes you."
Was it Arthur where the butler says Eliza Minnelli? There's some line like he goes, "Yeah, so you're the type of woman I would meet at a bowling alley," something like that.
And then
you're the caliber of woman I meet at a bowling alley. So here we go. He's meeting people at bowling alleys.
And then this is where Amelia breaks the news to Zach. Well, by the way, Zach, I'm dating a woman.
You mean Taylor breaks the news to Zach?
Oh, Taylor breaks the news.
Who did you say did it?
You said Amelia.
Oh, sorry, Taylor.
Mom is coming out at a late age in life.
Oh, I think that's going to be next for Hallmark.
Yeah. That would actually make a good story.
Yeah, it would.
Sure would.
And then once again, Zach didn't have any issues with it. He's like, okay, whatever makes you happy. But then they get a call, and Amelia's in the hospital.
Yeah. And
so we find out so Taylor and Zach go in, and this is when they find out everything that, Amelia had a heart attack, and this time she was having panic attacks. But then Amelia's doctor walks in, and Taylor is like, "Wait, what the fuck?" Because it's Frankie.
Yeah.
And Taylor is not happy.
And Zach at this point knows of Frankie, and then when Taylor says Frankie, Zach does the math, and you see his face like, "Oh shit, this is happening right now."
But then in Frankie
and the mother Amelia figures it out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But so this is the part that I'm gonna admit, this is the part that I actually cried on, because Taylor leaves in a huff. Then it's a little awkward, and then Frankie's like, "You know what? I've got to go do something, but goes after Taylor. Mm-hmm. But then they break so then at first they were trying not to tell Amelia, and Amelia's like, wait, I get a vibe from them. And then Amelia's like, oh, wait a minute, are they seeing each other? And then I cried in the part because Amelia was like, because they said something and Amelia was like, she's dating a doctor. And so she didn't give a shit about whether Frankie was a guy or a girl. Mm-hmm. She just cared that Frankie was a doctor.
Yeah. I really like that moment. I also like after Frankie followed Taylor out of the room, Taylor's kind of bitching about her mom or whatever, just being a baby, and Frankie completely calls her out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she said, you're being pessimistic or something like that, cynical. And that doesn't suit you.
You're being cynical.
Yeah.
Cynical, yeah.
That doesn't suit you.
And then Hannah does the Hallmark thing and just breaks up with her.
You mean Taylor does?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. Taylor breaks up with Frankie.
Yep.
And then Taylor's talking to Hannah. And Hannah actually kind of sets her straight too.
Yeah. Hannah's basically like, not all of us have moms.
I see dead people
that are there for us, and some of us are just looking for a strong female presence in their lives that they can look up to. Basically calling the game of like, hey Taylor, I work for you because I actually look up to you, and that's why I do such a good job here. Yeah.
Then I cried again.
Did you cry at that?
Yeah, no, because then Taylor went to Hannah. You know what? You're like one of the best people I know.
Yeah.
And then I was like, God damn this movie, making me cry. It's not even over.
Blubbering away.
Did you cry at Hannah's suggestion of a 10% coupon on the Classify app?
No, I didn't cry at that. That was good business, though.
Yeah, it was.
So then we're back at the bar with Matt and Frankie, and he's basically, like, girl, I got your back, whatever,
mm-hmm.
being the supportive friend.
She's sad. I like her eyebrows. I like her eyes. She had really nice eyes.
Oh, so then Amelia. So Zach had told Amelia about like his issues with the mural and how like the owner, before he knew it was Brian, didn't like it, and then he wasn't sure about his artistic ability, and he was kind of having doubts. And Amelia, Amelia kind of talks him down.
Yeah, she gave a nice pep talk, actually.
And so then we're back at the bookstore, and he's completing the mural, and actually he kind of was reinvigorated, and the mural looked good.
It was weird a little bit, though, because the mural was just, basically showing like all the people in this community that, would benefit from this bookstore. And it's like all the main characters in the movie. You've got, Frankie's profile is on the mural. You've got Max, who Zach has never met, by the way. You've got Margot on there. It's all these people. It's like the one person he didn't put on there that probably would make sense on a mural in a bookstore is his mother, the very famous author from that town.
Right.
It's strange, yeah. Like he has the cast, and Max comes in and sees it and isn't entirely surprised.
Yeah, and then Zach is starting to feel himself, and so then he makes a move he hits on Margot, and Margot's happy about it.
Mm-hmm. Feel himself.
Oh, and then one of the things I forgot to mention is back in the flower shop, Hannah actually Amelia was having a big reading of her book, and Hannah was going and didn't want to tell Taylor she was going, but Taylor figured out that she was going. Yeah. And so this was like the big event in town tonight.
Yeah, the book signing.
And so then Frankie gets an invite from Amelia and shows up with Max. Mm-hmm. And then Taylor shows up because the reading starts, Then Taylor shows up, and everybody basically makes up. So then
Amelia, before she does the reading, she gets really confessional and starts telling all these fans of hers about how she's been a shitty mother and like abandoned her kids and stuff. It was a really good monologue, though.
Yeah, but I like it because she copped to it. She's like, I had a part in this. I was not a good mother, but I'm gonna change, and I'm gonna get my shit together and be a good mother.
And then she starts reading.
So too. I think it works.
She starts reading an excerpt from her book, and they cut away right after we hear her say the words "her right nip." So then I was like, "What kind of book is this?"
Her right nip. Chapter 1. Her right nip.
So then we go to, I guess maybe it's a few weeks later or a few months later. It's like Sunday dinner. Everybody's coming
the whole
over.
cast.
We find out that mom is like having sex every night.
It's wildly implied that she's sleeping with Brian because she hasn't been home in a few nights.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was revolutionary too, because she says he's not my boyfriend, so they make it clear this is casual. They're not even like in a committed relationship as she's saying it, but they're just bumping uglies. And
then Taylor is like, well, Zach told me. So then Amelia's like, well, I need to go and have a little talk with Zach. And then she goes in the room and says, Zach, I need to talk to you. And Zach goes running away.
She yells at him, right? Have you been telling people I'm bumping uglies?
Right.
But he gets out of ear range.
So
this family lacks some boundaries. I will say that.
I would argue against that. Mom was gone for 5 years. There was a huge boundary of space and time. 5 years.
Right.
Well, that's a big boundary. But she's showing up but now things are a little messed up. She's showing up at the house. I live here now. Well, all right. Okay.
It is her house.
Didn't pay the mortgage.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, but listen.
So then Frankie comes over, and then
awesome.
And then this is Kurt's favorite part.
This weirdo stops by. It just bursts through the door.
And then
it seems like Eddie Grant or something like that.
Well, Eddie Grant is going to rock on down to Electric Avenue.
Right.
Yeah.
So
the last 30 seconds of the movie.
So then Frankie turns to Taylor and says, oh my gosh, Max would love this guy.
Yeah, the last inning, the last stretch, they hooked Max up to somebody.
I don't know where I was, because like I saw the beat after that where there's a lesbian kiss to end the movie, and I did feel like the one person that didn't get like resolution in this movie is this guy Max.
Well, no, because at the very end, because she's like, Max would love this guy, and then at the very end, they're all at the table, and then the guy that bursted in and Max like cheers each other.
I missed that completely.
So Max is there.
Okay.
They hit it off.
So everybody hooked up. Everybody, including Max, hooked up in this movie.
Okay.
Every kettle.
No,
has a
Hannah.
lid.
What about Hannah? Poor Hannah.
Was she even there?
Was she? Jeez.
She had to have been at family dinner. She's more. She's more family with Taylor than Max is with anyone.
True, I think she would, but yeah. So she probably was there because the family dinner did look like it was fun.
Well, she hooked up with the cater waiter.
Probably.
The bartender guy.
Right.
Yeah, the bartender. That's good.
Okay.
But yeah, I loved this movie. I really did.
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was good. I definitely thought it was like a huge break from what they've done before. So definitely admirable. I'd say it was good.
And this was So this rates up there with Shoe Addict's Christmas.
I don't know. I still like that Time Machine movie. What was that one?
Oh, that's up there too.
I really like that. That was probably my favorite Hallmark one.
The one with Tia or Tamara, one of the.
Oh no, that was good too. But no, there was the one with the Katie Finlay who was on How to Get Away with Murder. Yeah. That one was fantastic.
Yeah. So I'm glad that like Hallmark, they're actually, so out of all of the clunkers we watch, we actually do get some diamonds in the rough.
For sure.
Yeah, they do some good work.
Yeah. So no, I really like this one a lot. So, and I guess we're gonna need to talk once this is over, because I just realized a week from tomorrow, I will be embarking on a pseudo Hallmark movie of my own, because I will be going to Ireland a week from tomorrow.
Okay.
So we'll deal with that.
Exciting.
I'm actually getting excited. because I'm going to be there a long time. I'm going to be there till like mid-May.
Wow.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right now, it's like almost mid-April.
Yeah.
So you're going to be there for like 3 weeks.
I'll be there until like the 15th of May.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to some adventures and shenanigans. What can I say?
Okay.
Well,
hopefully you'll be in a coffee shop where they'll be moving seats around you, because that's happened on the previous episode.
Oh,
that
right.
happens in Ireland.
If people were to follow your shenanigans in Ireland, Les, how could they do that?
You can follow my shenanigans in Ireland on my website, leskirkendallbarrett.com. Jason.
Please rate and review our podcast on whatever podcasting platform you listen to us on or through. Please give us 5 stars. It lets more people know about the show, and that way we can find more audience. You can find all of us on Instagram and Facebook at Lifetime of Hallmark Podcast. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Big Shot Jason. Kurt.
Oh, you can find me on KurtFitzpatrick.com, Kurt with a K. I'll be updating that. I've done some recent appearances on the Shelf Shedding movie show, so you could check that out. And that's about it.
And I know that we have a lot of overseas listeners. So if we do happen to have any Irish listeners, I'm going to be taking my show, The Real Black Swan, to the Dublin International Gay Theatre Festival, and I will be doing my show, The Real Black Swan, there May 1st through 8th at the Teachers Club. And for more information, you could go to www.thedublininterntionalgaytheatrefestival.ie for Ireland. And I guess that's it. So until next time, bye.
Bye.
Bye.